A very good afternoon to you and welcome to another edition of Safe, matter of fact, Tough Enough here on Channel 2, Safe TV Channel 2. This is another afternoon where we bring to you, programs that are of interest to you, the people out there, especially when it comes to emancipation. Today, I have some very interesting persons in the studio, and our program is all about a flashback from the emancipation celebration. As you can see, I'm wearing my dashiki, to go with the mood. This afternoon, we have with us in the studio some very interesting persons who will be helping me along with our discussion here this afternoon. We're talking about a flashback of emancipation, and we also going to ask ourselves if we have really learned anything from what happened there on August 1. That's Monday, August 1. And if not, what can we do to help our fellow African people in this country to understand their culture, where they came from, and whose they are and whom they are. So this afternoon I have with me Dr. Rudy Gayan. He is a member of the Ghana Day organization. Mr. Gayan, welcome to the program.
Good afternoon.
I have with me she doesn't need a very big introduction. She's well known in this country. I have with me Ms. Penda Gayan. She's representing ACDA. Welcome, Ms. Penda.
Thank you. Welcome.
And
Thank
I
you
have
for
with me
having
Brittany Carroll. She is the General Service Officer in the U.S. Embassy here in Ghana. And she has a very special role to play here this afternoon, and she'll tell you why. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. Now, Emancipation Day 1, August 1, is a very important day in Ghana's history. Very important, and we celebrate, we observe, we eat a lot of African dishes, the conky, the cook up rice, the what do you call it? The pone, yeah, right, the soup, and all of the conky and the, what do you call it, the fufu, the metenji, and all those different African dishes. But is it that all what makes us an African person? Is that all about it? Is it about the food and the drinks and the different delicacies that makes up this day? Or is it something more? That's what we're going to be finding out here this afternoon. But first, Miss Penda, Sister Penda, we had you tell us exactly what are your thoughts on the Emancipation Day celebration this year. Is it better than last year, better than the year before, or is it the same thing all the time?
I think there were some parts that were better, and there were some things that we need to tighten up, improve on. But generally, I think it was very, very nice. It was special in that this is our Jubilee year. So instead of going and picking a country from the continent of Africa as we normally do, we decided that we were going to go with Guyana since it's a Jubilee year. So this year, the focus was on Guyana.
Right.
And our villages, was Barakara. And that too was special because normally we pick villages, various villages of historical significance. We've been going around looking at these. But this year, because of the Jubilee year, it was really, really special because Barakara is one of, I would say, if probably the only one, but it's that I know of, but it's one of the few, if there are others, maroon villages in Guyana. And a lot of people weren't aware that we had a maroon village.
Wow.
Because when you say maroon village, everybody thinks of places like Jamaica, etc., where, they're popular. But Barakara is one of the maroon villages that we have. And their speciality, they have a special grain of rice which is planted dry.
Wow.
It was in the park. They had the village set up with all the history that goes with it. And so that was very, very special this year. We did something different in that the cultural stage for the first part of the event, that was not on the tarmac as normal. So there were some complaints about seating, but I think the good aspect of that is that we had more interaction from the audience, from our patrons, and that they were able to interact more with us on stage than we would have been had we been in the tarmac. And people enjoyed this. They were dancing around the stage area. They were able to communicate. What did you think? Because you were there.
You threw it back on me. I like the dancing. The dancing, I think, really showed out for me this year because, you know, it was much more, you know, expressive and cultural and you know, and I have one of it I want to show you that stands out for me. One of them, especially the music, because the music was local. Okay.
Yes.
Dominic, if you have that first clip on the wall, let us show that clip to our audience and let them see exactly what I'm talking about. And we're going to come back. That one. Yeah, so that was one of the dances, you know, that really showed out to me. And there are many others.
Yes.
The classic dancers, you had a whole lot of dancers, and the Buxton drummers and all of those guys, they really stood out. And then we had the Prime Minister who was there as well.
Yes.
He really reminded the audience of where they came from and the importance of freedom and, you know, the struggles that we went through as a people.
You know, Andrew, one of the things talking about the Prime Minister, I was sitting down and I was saying that Mystique, they performed while he was on stage. And I said they need to pay us for being able to perform in front of the Prime Minister, don't you think? But they were very fortunate because that was the group that was on when he was there.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, that was good. We have some other shots, Dominique, some shots of, you know, the walkthrough of the whole Emancipation Village there. We can show that, and you will see exactly what we were talking about in terms of the influx of persons who came into the national park in the, you know, the African, there was a lot of African outfits there. I see African outfits in my, I've never seen such an, you know, a wide cross-section of African outfit there. They had persons there. Even the Speaker of the National Assembly was there.
Yes.
Yes, he passed through as well. There were some other government officials who passed through. The Prime Minister was an African dashiki, you know, and everybody did something to, you know, to identify themselves as an African person. But Dr. Gayan, I mean, you were there, you were backstage, you were up and down and about and around. The question is, have we really, you know, are we there yet to say that we have really truly respect our culture, respected our culture. We are in it to win it when it comes to our culture.
We are moving towards it. First of all, there's a great deal of respect, else you would not have had that day. So we say to ourselves, internally, we like to respect our culture, and we're doing a great deal in that direction.
Respect
it. Okay. Respect our culture. Now, however, there are so many forces acting to remove us from that particular road.
You said so many forces.
Yeah, but before I would like to say something about emancipation. What we saw there in terms of emancipation is we have this outward expression of a kind of, we have inwardly, we have some kind of responsibility, inward responsibility to ourselves. And on the 1st of August, we tend to show what it is. But what you saw there shouldn't be the only thing. That is a public expression. And the public expression, together with the personal expression that we should be having all around the country, should be there as a meditation to review, like the Sankofa bird that looks back in order to get orientation. We should, at every 1st of August, use that as an orientation period, where we say, what are we doing? Just as how you asked me, where are you going? What are we doing? Where are we going? And where do we want to go? And if you feel we're going there fast enough, etc. But I mentioned that there are forces that are really as obstacles. And one of the forces is force of history.
Okay.
History is lied to us. Probably may not be able to mention this, but I'm rewriting this whole thing. History has lied to us in terms of emancipation. Yes, in the sense that emancipation is framed as freedom. Our emancipation did not give Africans in Guyana freedom. Africans in Guyana were always free. You may say that's a contradiction expressed. For example, you look at your base. Africans came from Africa.
Right.
No part of Africa was the institution of enslavement or slavery within the culture or the political reality. So therefore, anybody coming from Africa had to be free or non-slave.
All right.
Good. We were kidnapped, thrown on some ship or something, and brought to this land. Like the prisoner in jail, or like the prisoner of war, when you're caught in an entrapment in that kind of environment, you're not a slave. All right. But what marks the African, especially in Guyana, is the fact that from the time Africans landed in this country, they were fleeing. That's why you had a situation in Guyana where an entire nation was brought into the area of Guyana to serve as mercenaries, police person, bounty hunters, to prevent Africans from expressing what they always had inside, their freedom. So you find a situation, as soon as the back of the planters returned, Africans were to go. But they were even brought back as a leg, 2 thumbs or something, or a head, to show that, look, they didn't run away. We killed them and we brought it back, give us our money. So I mentioned that to show you that emancipation was something else. And I put it as emancipations. What we call emancipation is really the reforming of the plantation system. In the sense that here we have a system that is not working for us. And there's many things mentioned why it wasn't working, but it wasn't working for us. However, we want to have this land and we want to make a profit. Because everything was about profit making. And what they did was this. They said, listen, we can't contain these people. Look what's happening. The price of our land has fallen. After the 1823 revolution, they were on the East Coast. They couldn't get workers. The price of land fell. And and they were running away from this country. That's why at the end we got land almost for nothing, buying over 100 plantations. All right. So I said, listen, we are failures because look at our books. We only operated 40%. How kind of business operated 40%? So they said, in all respect, we are dying. So we have to reform this whole plantation system because these people are winning. So that is where we are right now. They brought in the East Indian, but let us stop right here. The point I'm making, probably later on I could go, but what I want to show you is this. Emancipation was not about freedom. Emancipation was not about freedom. Emancipation was about finding a way where the planters could survive. And here the compromise was made. In fact, look at our situation, African situation. You have a people, so-called enslaved, that is totally dependent on you. And when you close the door on them, you didn't even give them a piece of grass. Anybody's in your ward, in your keep, in your care, when you let them loose, there's some kind of recompense. Africans were let loose. That means they recognize that Africans were able to control themselves. We're always in control of the destiny. Would all be able to control themselves.
Because I see where you're coming from because it all breaks down or comes down to our Africanness here in this country. We are from so many tribes. And, I think the president was one of the first person in this country to take that test, that genealogy test, I think it was, that would tell him, his true identity in terms of which tribe you may have come from and, his ancestry. I think it's the ancestry test he took from the curricula. But that is not really the big picture. I mean, we have so many things here to learn. You have the organizations to do it. You have ACTA, you have the Ghana Association, you have all these different institutions that can be able to help us to understand where we come from, or where we came from, and where we're heading. The question is our school system doing enough to educate us where our African cultural experience is all about? School is closed before August, so you would do it between the month of July, late to early July, and so on. But is that enough? Is that enough?
No, it's not enough. It's not enough. Our school system does not deal with our history, with our African culture and history. It's very limited. One of the things that we're looking at now, and you asked me what CAP I'm representing after today, but I'm also a member of the Reparations Committee.
I was coming to that just now.
And what we've been doing there also is a lot of historical work has been done. We've been researching a lot, and to date there are 5 booklets that deals with exactly what you've been asking about the history here, generally our history as far as such things as who were the first persons in this part of the world. We were taught in schools that the people that they call Amerindians were the first people here. Now, because of the research done by Reparations, they found that this is not so, because in 1995 they found the bones of a skeleton which, when assembled, proved to be an African woman who is now called Lucia. And we have pictures of this in the book. She was found in Brazil, and she dates 12,000 years.
Wow.
So if you're looking at this, you would realize that we have been in this part of the world for many, many thousands of years prior to our people that we thought were here first. There are other things that we are discovering, and I mean,
That's a big discovery,
I would like
eh?
to, pardon?
So that's a big discovery, yeah, because we are taught that we are not the first here. That the Amerindians were the one who are the first here. Now you're saying to us at this time in history
Yeah,
that that might not be so.
I'm telling you that it is not so. So all these things are being rectified. They're in booklets. And we are asking the Department of Education, the Ministry of Education, to look into these booklets, and we're hoping that they will be able to find their way into the school system so that the children can be taught the true history of the Africans here in this part of the world. ACDA has been doing tremendous work on this as well, because the various schools would call, various institutions, and we do go in and send people in to discuss these matters, you know, to teach on our culture. And in the park, we do a lot of education on August 1st. We have a lot of educational, it's like an educational nostalgia, because we have an education booth that discusses all our various cultures, various countries, you know, the cultures of these places. And the village that is chosen, that's also on display, as well as we have our children's center where we teach them our cultural folk songs and folklores and games and stuff. So it's an entire, it's a mixed match, but a lot of it is educational and dealing with our culture. But let me just say this. When we talk about our African culture, what we're doing is we are reintroducing our culture, because as you said earlier, we're from various countries, we're from various nations. I don't like the word tribe, I prefer to say nations, right? Okay, we're from various nations, and we don't know which nations we came from. So like I said, you know, to someone, I can't remember which program, today I may decide that I want to be a Nigerian.
Okay.
You know, tomorrow I may say I'm wearing my Ghanaian clothes. Nobody can stop me
Or
because I
Tanzanian.
don't know exactly what, I can choose whatever I want to be. Or there are times that I may be wearing a Ghanaian dress, but I may be having a Nigerian head wrap. You see the point? So we are, yes, we are not sure exactly what part, except we do the genealogy. But that makes it beautiful because we can claim whatever we want to be.
Okay.
The important thing is, however, for us to reintroduce our culture, because remember, it was taken from us. When we were brought here, we were forbidden speaking our language. If we did, they would put hot coals in our mouth. We couldn't speak our language, we couldn't wear our clothes, we couldn't use our food. We had to use the Caucasian persons. Even our spirituality was taken from us. So we had to use their spiritual thing. And if you take away a person's spirituality, you're virtually killing them. Because with our spirituality comes our morals, you know, all forms of our culture, you know, what we believe in, what we eat, it all comes from our spirituality. Your culture comes out of that. So let me stop.
Okay. You can go on and on.
I
but
know,
I'll come to
I'll
you
stop.
again. Now, you know, Brittany was in the background watching all of this unfold before her eyes on Emancipation Day. And she is a General Service Officer with U.S. Embassy. She's also doing a study, international relations and all of that. And she is here to tell to tell us all about her experience for the first time, I want to believe, at Emancipation Day in Guyana. So, Brittany, what what stood out in your mind come for Emancipation Day gone that you would never forget as long as you're in this country we call Guyana?
Well, I played a very unique role at the Emancipation Day Festival, mainly because I was there for the first time. And so that was my first time being in Guyana and experiencing Emancipation Day. And then I also was fortunate to also be a part of the planning of it as well. The day of, I helped with the logistics backstage with all the performances. So I got to interact with all of the performers, the drummers, the dancers, and the singers backstage. For me, that particular day was a bit magical in a sense because it reminded me so much of my experiences when I was actually in the Gambia last summer.
Wow.
That day, seeing so many people, so many colors, so many people in their African outfits, you could see the pride and you can see the excitement there. It just transported me back to a time when I was in the Gambia, and the Gambia is mostly predominantly Muslim, and after Ramadan is Eid, and then in the Gambia you have so many different people wearing their African attire. They're coming off of almost a month of fasting, and they're wearing their African attire, and you can hear the music in the streets, and you can hear the people and the excitement, and being in Guyana for Emancipation Day Festival, seeing the same excitement and the same colors that reminded me so much of my time in West Africa. Shows that for me that there is a movement here in Guyana from people from the African diaspora that take a lot of pride in celebrating their ancestry.
Nice. And how would you say our Emancipation Day, our culture here in Guyana, match up, or if not matched up, but similar to your African, month of activities, the United States of America? How would you say the culture is a similar? Is there a similarity with the culture, or is it different in terms of the activities and so on?
I would say that in the United States, we don't necessarily have a public holiday that celebrates the liberation or the emancipation of an enslaved people. What we do have is a month that is recognized by the entire country as Black History Month. And that month is a month that our country has set aside to recognize African American contributions to U.S. history. Now, when you talk about ancestry, African ancestry is a bit different. While our story as African Americans is connected to our African ancestry, which you will find during Black History Month, is to focus mostly on African American contributions in the country. The ancestral part, finding out who you are and recognizing that connection to Africa becomes more of a personal journey. And so it's not as mainstream as Black History Month. You can almost see in February, McDonald's would have a commercial and say, this is in honor of Black History Month. Or you'll see different commercials celebrating different African American figures, but you won't necessarily see to the extent Emancipation Day or a day recognizing the African ancestry. What you may see is small groups, organizations. You may see stores or restaurants that have an Afrocentric theme to it. And that personal journey that I talked about and that you mentioned with the president, finding out his DNA to figure out, what really, his genetic makeup is, and like what group he may, or what part in Africa he may be from. That's something that African Americans can also do as well to learn more about their ancestry.
That's so true, and the reason I asked the question because we here in Guyana, we try to at least emulate something from the American culture, American way of life, and we see that not all of it similar here in Guyana. As you were saying just now, Black History Month, you will have a group or somewhere will be, having some program or some event that will deal with some aspect of African, culture, or African way of life, or so on, but it's not mainstream. So at least we have some similarity in some way or another. All right. Now, I have two Nigerian in the studio. Yeah, I have
Yes.
two Nigerian in the studio, and
That's right.
Dominique, I want you to cue up that video. Cue up that video with that dance there, and now you're gonna bring in our two Nigerian dancers, or if you want to call them representative of Nigerian culture, that was a part of the activities day of Emancipation Day. And we're gonna have a little chat with them, and then we're gonna come back to our main group and wrap this whole thing up in probably 10, 15 minutes or so as we wrap it up. But take a break. We're going to cue that video up and show our two Nigerian dancers. It's there, I think, Dominique. And then we're going to come back.
They can't stop dancing until you stop giving them money. Anybody else? Anybody It looks like they're done. Pick up the money, ladies. Let's pick up the money and go. Give them a round of applause.
I enjoy that dance, and that dance has a special meaning. And we have our two Nigerian sisters in the studio. I ask you to introduce yourself to the audience there. On my right, tell us who you are.
My name is Esther Ndubueze. I'm Nigerian.
All right, and
I'm Dolapo Ikpiniwa. I'm also Nigerian.
now, ladies, what dance was that, and what was the cultural backing to that dance?
Okay. It's basically an Igbo dance. It's from the Igbo tribe in Nigeria. And it's more like, how do I explain it? Okay, when the Igbo lady dances, she dances to showcase her assets,
All right,
what makes her beautiful.
all right.
So she dances to show off all of that. So I know if you watch closely at the dance, you notice the time when we are much on the waist and on the shoulders and all of that. It's a way to express how beautiful your body is.
All right, like that. I like that. Express your assets. All right, Dora Poo,
Yes, sir.
how was that expression make you feel?
Okay, to me it was really exciting because seeing the expression on the Guyanese people, their faces and all was really a glorious thing because to me, I would say it was like introducing what we do in Nigeria to them. And it was really special because seeing a lot of expression on their faces was something phenomenal. And at the end of the show, we got a lot of comments from people.
Plus
and
you got
it's-
money.
it was really exciting and a very beautiful experience.
I enjoyed it myself because I was saying, boy, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of energy, and you were working up a lot of energy there. And in the end, you know, you bless the hearts of those in the audience and so on and so forth. Now, you are here, you're medical students here in Guyana, and, you know, you've been here for how long?
Over 2 years now.
Over 2 years. Good. But that is not the only thing that you are here for. You're not just medical student. You trained to become a medical doctor. You are trained to become a nurse. What else is the biggest thing that, you know, that you have going on for you here in Guyana while you're here?
Okay, beautifully. Let me say, okay, I'm a medical student. She's a nurse, and we found out that a major purpose for coming to this place, one was to study, and secondly, we discovered something really beautiful to share with the people of Guyana. That's to spread the gospel of Christ and to make them know the essence of what God has done to the people of Guyana and to the whole world. So that was why we brought the Rhapsody of Reality to share with the people of Guyana and also introduce something much more beautiful to them.
So what the Rhapsody of the Rhapsody that you have there in that book, can we take a shot of that book? That Rhapsody of Realities. Rhapsody of Realities.
Yes.
Why is Rhapsody of Realities so an important part of your life?
Okay, beautiful. Let me start by saying that this daily devotional called Rhapsody of Reality, it's several millions of copies have been distributed all around the world, and it has been in 242 countries and translated in 759 languages.
Wow.
It has also been translated in Dutch, English, Russian, and different languages. We're still counting. We hope to publish like 250 million copies this 2016.
Wow.
Yeah, and we've been able to affect a lot of people, and so many testimonies has risen from just this devotional. It's an amazing book, trust me. And as many that come in contact with this book, their lives are really going to be transforming, and it will never, never, never remain the same again. And this book is really amazing. The author of the book is Pastor Chris Oyakilome. Yeah, he's a Nigerian preacher, and he's really amazing.
And Esther, you, at least the book must have some kind of effect on your life as well. So how would you want that effect to be transferred to those that you may have come into contact with?
Yes, the Rhapsody of Realities. A lot of people might say it's just a devotional, what of every other devotional, but I would say that this devotional has helped us reach millions of people around the world, and we are still doing that. And I would say I want to pass on this passion to my fellow Africans and Guyanese people, and I would say that it gives you an opportunity to preach the word of God. And how do you do this? It's by partnering with us. This book will give it out free to people. Now, how do we make it free? People make it free. They pay for it to be free. So when it's free, we give you an opportunity to preach the word to other people so that you are not alone. You're not a Christian all by yourself. You have the opportunity to preach the word just as Jesus has asked us to do.
So persons could contact you wherever you are and get a copy of this book. How can a person reach you to get a copy of the book?
Okay.
I mean, recently, before that, recently they have given the mayor of Georgetown, a copy of this book.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You were at the mayor's office, and she was very, elated to know that young ladies, have this book in their hands, and they are sharing millions and millions of copies and hundreds of copies to all their friends and their neighbor ministers of government and so on and so forth. Did the Prime Minister get a copy of the book as well?
Yeah,
Oh, yes,
sure.
it
On the
did.
Emancipation
At the
Day.
Emancipation Day.
That's really, really beautiful.
Nice. So you're sharing this to all and sundry persons in public office and private office and what have you.
Hospitals, everywhere.
Everywhere.
We are breaking into everywhere, even schools, because we realize that the strength of every nation is in its youth. So we are making a lot of effort to reach out to the youth of Guyana.
Good. So, folks out there, this book, Prophecy, A Rhapsody of Realities, you can contact them. You're on Facebook, isn't it?
Yes,
We are on
You're on
Facebook.
Facebook. So what if they get a search for you? What are they searching for?
Okay, they could search for Reach Out Ukraine, because we are under Ukraine. We are functioning. Ukraine is our head office here in Guyana. So since this is new, we are taking orders from them for
Okay.
now. So you can search for Reach Out Ukraine. You can also go to the Google App Store and download the King's Chart. There you can talk to a lot of people from the ministry, from the church, and have contact with other people who have had experiences with this book.
So now that you have read the book and enjoyed the blessings of the book, now that you're here, how has that impacted your life while you're here? What are some of the, what would I call the testimonies that you have where that book has been a blessing to you?
Okay, to me personally, I can say that this Rhapsody of Reality has really transformed my life, because getting to Guyana, I realized that you can really, when I got into this place, I was looking for a way to just blend in, and cope and everything like that. But I realized that when I came in contact with Rhapsody of Reality, I got that courage and boldness to also encourage other students that are coming in, because you see a lot of them come into Guyana and they're like confused. They don't know where to blend in and what not to do. So this book has given me that confidence. It has given me that courage, because it has got a lot of inspiring words in it, and it's really amazing.
Esther, what about you?
Oh yes, Rhapsody of Realities. Rhapsody has helped me so much here in Guyana. As she rightly said, when we came to Guyana, we lost it. We didn't know what to do. Like, I almost went back. After a month. I couldn't cope. It was a lot of work. But by the time I came in contact with this book, I learned. At the time, actually, we had a pastor from this church around at the time. So I met her, and she introduced us to this. That's how we started. So by the time I spoke to her, and I've had a good communion with her, we talked, and she taught me a lot from this book. And by the time she was done, I realized that to every man, there's a higher purpose than what you just do as a 9-to-5 job. There's a higher purpose. There are bigger things you could do with your life. It's not just about making money and paying bills. Life is much more than that.
It helped with person with suicide and so on and so forth. Good. Tell you what. Stay there. We're going to take a break and come back. We're going to bring on the bigger guys. And we're going to wrap this whole thing up with some more thoughts for you, our African people out there. And we're going to open the line for a couple of minutes so you can call and share your thoughts with us, what you enjoy in Emancipation. So we're going to go back to that dance again and get them to come out and come back in. Then we're going to come in with the seniors. All right? Don't go away. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Yes, as you can see, that movement, there's a lot of work. If you are not fit, don't try it. Miss Pender can't try that.
Well, speak for yourself. I will try that.
Dr. Gayan, if you had to, to advise the nation in terms of, having people, especially young people, to get to know their culture, what would you tell them?
First of all, it would be difficult to get that truth out of the book. You mentioned education. I give you a brief thing that publicly you're hearing it for the first time in Guyana. Now, in Guyana, there's a kind of disrespect. In fact, wherever Africans are, there's a disrespect. But Guyana even more so. Guyana, I mentioned that we were all free. They also say that Africans in Guyana were slaves. I'll leave you with this. Every Guyanese listen to this program now for the first time in Guyana. You'll be hearing this probably in the world. Africans in Guyana were free people. The Africans in Guyana, with emancipation, because of August the 1st, 1834, we liberated everyone who touched the soil of Guyana. The East Indians who came to this country, they were slaves. What did I say? The East Indians who came to this country were slaves. They were in India. Slavery was abolished in 1843. That is very important. That is something was kept out of every history book, thus making it believe that Africans were the slaves and other peoples were not, thus making every African tendency to walk with the head on the ground. Whereas Africans were the people who should be walking with pride in Guyana because one, we were never slaves, two, we liberated this country, and anyone who touched this soil became free. So Africans give the East Indians who came to this country freedom from slavery. That's the first thing the books you have to put in your education book. Now going on. Our sister here, she does international relations. We need, because of the truth being put into book, we'll have social cohesion, and also in a relationship, national relationship will improve in this country. So this will take a whole day, a whole program to explain this.
Trust me, I'll bring you back.
But more important, I'll end now. The point is, yes, emancipation is very, very important. We as African people, we have to speak to ourselves. Now, for example, we speak about Nigeria. There's no such, Nigeria is a country that was named by the English. It was not even an African word. So again, there's another thing. We had a history over 10,000 years before 2016. That is something to be spoken to. Because over 10,000 years, look what we did. We over 10,000 years ago, civilized every people on this planet. In fact, Europe became civilized because Africa civilized Europe. Africa gave spirituality and religion to every other country on this planet Earth. So let's stop there. We have to talk. We haven't talked to ourselves as yet.
I gotta bring you back on
We
that
haven't
one.
talked to our history.
Eyes have been opened wide there just now. Esther, how would you want to share your Africanness with persons you come into contact with?
Okay, let me get very African in my accent.
All right.
So my brothers and sisters, it is it's beautiful to see what you do in Guyana. I see the essence of being African in you. But there's something you must understand, that being African has nothing to do with the color of your skin. It has nothing to do with your hair. It's just that's what you look like, but that's not African. Being African has to do with the content of your personality. Africans are self-sufficient. They don't need anybody to survive. Africans are fine. If there were no white people, Africans will still survive. Africans are self-sufficient. They know how to be beautiful. They trust themselves. Africans are strong people. And again, Africa values family. That is a very big concept for me to explain to you, because I would say in my tribe, at the end of the year, we all go back to the village. That's the countryside. We all visit the countryside. So by the time we do that, everybody gets to meet the family. When I say family, I mean the extended family, even on to third, fourth cousins. And many a times, that's how we get married. So you get married to someone who your parents know, their family. Somehow, just one way or the other, you're still in the family.
Okay.
So Africa knows family, and Africa knows love. Love doesn't mean you're trying to make the next person smile, but love means that you're making the right decision for your children, for your family, for your wife, for your husband. It is try as much as possible not to be white. Being a white person is totally different from being African. Try not to infiltrate yourself so much with that, because if you do, you're losing your real essence, and you will lose your value in fact in society. Because if you try to be white, the whites are not going to take you in. You just have to be African and be yourselves. Actually, be yourselves. You will just see these qualities come out of you. Thank you so much.
I gotta bring you back too.
I share.
Yeah.
You know, just before Esther spoke, I came up and I said to her, so what part of Nigeria? She said, Abia State. I said, oh, well, my adopted daughter, who adopted me, she is from Item. She said, that's where I'm from. So we have a lot to talk about.
You got adopted too.
And I'm listening to what she's saying about going home, and it's true, because at the end of the year, all Nigerians, they go back to the village, and that's a grand time.
Yes.
You know, it is so
Huge
wonderful. When we go into Item for Christmas, it is fantastic. So we have a lot to talk about. But coming back to what thing, how would we talk to the young people about their culture, right? I would share, as I normally try to do. I try to teach them in my own little way about the true meaning of the word culture. Culture is, as Esther says, is more than just trying to be. It is your inner self. It is your mores, your morals, how you treat, how you respect people, and knowing most of all the history, knowing where you came from, what your ancestors did, and how to move forward.
Pass
And
on
this
to your
is
children
what,
and so on.
exactly, and this is what
Carol,
we try to do.
How would you express your Africanness to the person you come into contact with? What would you want to tell them?
I think that expressing your Africanness or expressing whatever culture that you come from is being firm and knowing and being okay with who you are. You know, for me, I'm African American, and I identify with being, I say Black American, but the African part didn't come until much later in my life, where I was in a culture so completely different from my own, in which people ask me, okay, I know you're American, but where are your people really from?
Okay.
You know, and so to have that question posed to you when you're so used to you know, the country in which you're born in, being what you identify with, sort of made me realize that I needed to dig further and deeper than just my Black history, but to know what happened before them. But the beauty of knowing yourself is also accepting and understanding other cultures too. I mean, I can find so many similarities in other cultures, Taiwanese, Chinese. I can find so many similarities where family is really the center of living and your life, and that can be just as similar to African culture. And to me, it's important to know yourself so that you can be comfortable with understanding other people's cultures and where they come from.
Well said, and I want to thank all of you who are on the set for the opportunity of being here this afternoon. We have in the background, and I'm going to introduce her name, just her name, because she's going to come back on another program like this in the last week of this month. Amanda J. Clodwell. She's the new public affairs officer within the U.S. Embassy here in Guyana, and you're going to hear more about her. You're going to see her. She's going to take all the time in the world to get herself blended into our Guyanese system here. But she's going to be the face of the United States Embassy here in Guyana, the public affairs officer. And we're going to be seeing her, you're going to be seeing her from time to time in media spares and so on and so forth. But you're going to see her right here for the first time on Tough Enough, the last week of this month of August. All right, and I just want to introduce her name to you. You're not going to see her, trust me. Tough Enough, come back, and you're going to see her. I'm just going to say welcome to Guyana, Miss Claudwell, and all the best. As you stay here in this country of Guyana, you will become Guyanese. Anybody come here, turn Guyanese right away. Trust me. We have the kind of effect and make you turn Guyanese. You start talking Guyanese, all kind of thing. You hear the talk? We should talk in there. Don't walk so. We can indoctrinate you. So with that being said, let's come to the end of our program this afternoon. I want to thank Dr. Rudy Gayan,
Thank you.
Ghana Day, our organization, Penda Gayam, husband and wife, right? Don't forget. From ACDA, we had Esther as well, and her good friend or companion in the background that was here with her, that did a nice African dance and thing. Yeah, we done the show, and of course Brittany Carroll, the General Service Officer in the United States Embassy. She said to me, when I said I'm going to bring back Claudwell, she said, "No, she's capable of coming all on her own." But I know, don't be saying though, she'll come back again. Trust me. Anyhow, that's it for this afternoon. Thank you for viewing our program. We're going to take you right back to our upcoming program, which is Get Up, Get Out, and Get Blessed. Good afternoon. Bye-bye.